Welcome to No Question About That. The final part of the season, Daniel. Thank fuck that is over. How's it going?
Oh, man. I am good. I'm good. I too am pleased that was over. And before I went to Bilbao, I said to myself, we said to each other, we can't let these pricks ruin it. So that was also good. I've got some transport stories for those who would like.
Nice.
Yes.
You didn't manage to crash your car while you were out there, did you?
I didn't, although I do know someone whose hire car broke down driving from Biarritz, and a random local said, "It's all right. You take my car, bring it back on Thursday."
Wow.
I know. What a world, man.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Southern France, northern Spain. Wow, they're welcoming. You wouldn't imagine that in most parts of the UK, would you? You take my car. It's all right.
Yeah. Anywhere, really. Also, I did not know that Basque cheesecake was a thing, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Like, you came out of bar and you just see a place and all it's selling is cheesecake. So like, oh, that must be good. If the only thing you got premises in town and the only thing you sell is cheesecake, literally the only thing, surely that cheesecake's got to be good. And it was.
A lot of places in that part of the world have like these specialist foods. So you go to northern Portugal, it's obviously the nata, and then you go to Vigo, it's all the octopus that they fry up on the beach there, and Santander, it's those spicy pepper things, where you get one of the
Mr. Well-travelled.
Yeah, well, I'm very clever.
I have actually been to most of those places myself. As I haven't been to Santander, but I was in Vigo when United were there, and I have been to whatever the other place. I've been to northern Portugal, but. Funny, the restaurant. I said the restaurant I came out of to go into the cheesecake place. They were walking the toilet. There's a guy just pissing in the sink there.
Nice.
And he says, I just couldn't make it to the toilet, which is half a yard away. Who am I to judge?
I was going to say we've all done it, but I'm not sure we have. All right, we've got a few things on the menu today, other than cheesecake. United versus Villa, and just how much we paid the ref to give us a end of season boost. Magical stuff. Final league table and discuss where all of that's happened. Lots going on in the transfer market already, including Ruben Amorim very publicly firing Alejandro Garnacho
in front of the rest of the squad. Go on, Ruben.
In front of the rest of the squad. I mean, wow. There's a lot to talk about there. And I guess some look ahead to the summer. All right. Well, we might as well start with Villa because that's the game just gone. I'm not sure there's going to be a lot of deep analysis here, but that was fun. I mean, it was actually a good performance before, obviously, Emi Martinez went mental. The United were playing pretty well. I mean, movement, chances created, not only scored, obviously, before that, but it was good stuff.
Yeah, they sort of seemed to change formation a little bit, didn't they? Like a sort of a 3-1-5-1 maybe, and they were also pressing in sort of a 4-4-2, I think. I mean, it makes a difference also, I think, that Villa had to try and win the game, which is Tottenham, for example, were not... Obviously, they were trying to win the game, but the way that they played was not the way that Villa played. And United, United have the players to exploit a team that are pressing with a high line, but against Tottenham, the team that's sitting back, United have got a problem. And we'll come to it later when we talk about players we might sign as well, I think. And we also managed to avoid giving away goals in our usual manner. I mean, we watched the Europa final, chatting with the mates I was with, and after about 5 minutes, we said, like, the only way Tottenham are going to score is if we give them a goal. And fair fucks to the boys. They stuck at it. A few efforts didn't quite work out. And then eventually they managed to make one stick. But yeah, we've moved the ball nicely today, and I don't know. I mean, you can't judge anything on one game. It did look more like what we think it's meant to look like, though, and I don't know if it's because the pressure was off, and some of these lads don't like pressure. Like, why would they not be able to play like this just a few days ago? And part of it, I look at it and I think, well, the tactics in the final weren't good. Like, it was obvious really early on because they were attacking the end that we were in. That Mason Mount was way too wide. He's not a winger.
Yeah.
So, and he was more near the middle of the pitch today, and I felt like that made a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, and he got those few chances early today. He wasn't in the game at all on Wednesday night. Just complete passenger, and I guess the criticism there is not so much of the tactical choice to start with, because that's fine. I guess he wanted to try and control a game against Chaos Ball. As it turns out, Tottenham made the smarter change in terms of their system. You know, Ange got it right there, realizing exactly where United's strengths and weaknesses are. The criticism, Ruben, on Wednesday was he didn't make the change quickly enough. When he realised the pattern of the play, he left it 20 minutes too late to change things around. Today, that was not true, right?
And made the wrong changes, I would say.
It's funny, amidst all the mea culpas that we've had, you know, and I can't say I particularly enjoy all of this. We didn't get
fronting
one on Wednesday.
FFC.
Yeah. We love doing that now. You know, the manager gives his end of season speech alongside the lap of dishonour, and you know, he's like, "I want to apologise for the season." Yeah, fine. We've heard it so many times before; it's become repetitive.
I thought he spoke quite nicely, though.
He spoke a perfectly nice speech, and the best thing he could have done in that moment. Of course, it's not the thing that actually matters. The thing that matters is, why has it all gone wrong? What are you going to do to fix it? And I don't expect that to come from end of season speech, but where I was going with it is that I don't think, for all he's brilliant at talking, Amorim, and very honest, I'm not sure that he has been entirely upfront with what went wrong on Wednesday. You know, the apologies came out, but not the, this is what happened and this is where I got it wrong. And it's all gone and done and dusted now, and I guess it doesn't matter anymore. And you know,
it depends.
The kind of freedom that they didn't have for a single second of Wednesday's final today.
It matters a little bit because you want them to understand what went wrong so that it doesn't happen again. And I mean, I guess the way I would have played Mainoo, not Mount, because I felt like we wanted tight spaces. I understand why he went with Mount, someone who knows what it is to win a final, like a serious footballer who's...
And the goal scoring and all of that, yeah. Theoretically.
I thought once it was going wrong, though, and once we saw what Tottenham were going to do in the second half, I thought, I know why he took off Oyland. He's playing shit, but at the same time, you need strikers, you need men in the box, and you need people who know where the goal is. And I know that his anticipation is not what we'd like it to be, but who's going to score the goals? When Oyland went off, I'm thinking, what happens when the ball drops? Who's going to be there? I also felt, I know Garnacho did okay when he came on. I would have brought on Eriksen, because if your tactic is spamming crosses into the box and trying to pick passes, Eriksen is much better than that at Garnacho. Yeah. And I would have got Mainoo on earlier again, because it's a small space player and it was a small space game. So I felt like he properly bollocks the changes. And I mean, we knew at half time that unless we got a penalty, we probably weren't going to score.
Yeah, I think we got more XG in the first 15 minutes of today's game against Villa than we did in the whole game against Tottenham, which will tell you something. And look, game state and all of that, and Villa are chasing the game today, and the pressure really got to them, didn't it? I mean, I can't say I've seen Villa every game this season, but of the few of the games I've seen, they looked more inhibited and more frozen than at any other time. Yeah, including that Champions League game against Paris Saint-Germain, where they tried to go toe-to-toe.
Because they're not really expected to win that one, are they?
Yeah.
I guess. And I mean, would you have played Ahmad at wing-back in the final?
Yeah, probably. I just think we were a bit conservative. Or at least once it was obvious. And we talked about it in the tactical preview, didn't we? Exactly how Tottenham would
I said I wouldn't, because I felt like that just immediately gives you a weakness. But for next season...
It is a weakness. So, I mean, the thing is, when you saw Tottenham lining up and they got 25% possession or whatever it was in the final, once you saw them being so conservative, then that's when you start making changes, I think. And that didn't happen until 70 minutes had gone.
I just also think when I think about next season, right, let's say we sign Cunha and Delap. Do I think that they would have made the difference in that Europa game? Not necessarily, because I don't think they're players for that kind of game. The ones that you want to make a difference in that game are sort of is the wing backs, and we've constantly got defenders at wing back. So assuming that there isn't going to be money to sign wing backs in the summer, and it feels like there isn't, then I think he does have to try and make a wing back out of Ahmad. And I don't know what that would entail, like summer sessions or tape or whatever it is, but I feel like he needs to be going to Ahmad and saying, assuming Bruno stays, we've got Bruno and Cunha, he'll get some games in the 10 clearly.
Yeah.
But we're gonna need someone who can attack down the right, and he's really the only choice that we have, assuming Camerson and or Mantato aren't ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's certainly one they'll be considering. Like, where can he cause most damage? Because he can certainly cause damage from wing back. I mean, just on Bruno, the thing that didn't happen in the final was that he got pushed towards the goal. When it happened today, when they moved him forward today, he created the chance for Ahmad, right? In the final, he went deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until he was the final man in the final.
The last man picking up the ball because he doesn't trust anyone else to get it forward. Correct, neither do I. But at that point, it's just you need to be near the goal. And I agree. It was the way it felt like they hadn't practiced or thought about what to do if they were chasing.
Well, the plan B so far we've seen for Amorim is Harry Maguire up front. And it's worked on a few games this season, right? But there has to be other options. You have to be able to switch in game when things aren't going right.
And I mean, he said that. I wrote him the day before the final that he was really clear that he said at the beginning it will be one-dimensional. This will just be simple. And eventually they'll get to a point where they conflict between interpretations of the formation because ultimately it's not really about 3 here and 2. It's about principles of play, like where you're trying to create overloads and find space. And once they know what they're doing, they'll be able to do that. And that is on the manager. It's on the well, it's partly on the manager. It's on the board to get the manager the players he wants and to pick the right players and to get them in early. Yeah. So, and this is one of the problems I think we have with not qualifying for Champions League is that we can't really buy till we've sold. And when we sell, it's not exactly contingent upon us. It's contingent upon when someone fronts up enough money.
Yeah, and at the time, and at the right time as well, because there's so many pieces moving. Yeah,
and desperation stinks, and you can smell ours from the heavens.
Yeah. Well, look, let's go through a few of the elements of today's game, and then we'll get onto this because I think there's an awful lot of moving pieces, including with Villa. With Villa not qualifying for the Champions League, I'm going to assume the deal for Marcus Rashford is off. And probably at both ends, right? Villa won't have the money. In fact, they probably need to sell before the 30th of June before they can do any deals in the market already. And Marcus, by the sounds of it, not that I know, wants to have a higher status club to go to. But Emi Martinez in smashing Hoylands might have just cost United 40 million quid there.
On Rashford, I don't think Villa want him anyway. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
The players aren't that impressed. And they don't want. I don't think Villa would have bought him anyway.
Ravel and Barada are going to have to do some serious work this summer, like because that's one of the ones. Like United's PSR position is probably okay this year to June the 30th. That is, I'm sure they figured that one out. So no desperation to sell really quickly, but purchases are contingent, and that is the one where obviously 100% of it goes onto the books, and you can spend it. Like you still have to cover years 2, 3, 4, and 5, and all of that. But that's the one where they'll want to be able to do deal, and they don't want to be in position where they're letting him go for free or paying him off or something like that, which is likely to happen with Sancho. Anthony being slightly different, but yeah, Martinez today did. I don't know who he did a favour. He didn't do Villa a favour for, and he might not have done us a favour in terms of Villa's position to spend. But yeah, crazy. There'd been a lot of talk about Martinez to United this week in the papers. I can't see it myself, although we desperately need 2 goalkeepers. That is the kind of thing he likes. That kind of mental stuff.
Yeah, it was quite strange behaviour. I guess it's one of those things where they never quite. It's never a question they've never exactly answered. I think, like when you decide what decision to make in a situation like that, are you bearing in mind who the player is?
Yeah, and so they shouldn't be.
You going? It's Cosmos. Not a chance he's going to score.
He was actually. If you see it from the angle behind the goal, you realise just how wide he went as well. I mean, that is a really difficult. And he's wrong. Oh no, he's left.
No, he's left footed. But it does only need to be on target. It just needs to be on target, and it's in.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a dog though, because you're not like, yes, he's shit, he's never going to score, but so it's the right decision. Mind you, we had one the other week, didn't we, in the cup final, Henderson coming out of the goal and stopping a potential Haaland shot. He didn't get red carded. Hard to see the difference between those two, but yeah. And then after that, what happened? Oh, we got the penalty. I mean, it is a foul. It's just about inside the box, and Nice little send off for Christian Eriksen there. Why didn't Johnny Evans get it though? He's,
I mean, yeah, I'd much rather have seen Evans take that penalty than. But I mean, if we talk about the goal that never was. So looking at the laws, this is what the laws say. The law says a goalkeeper is considered to be in control of the ball with the hands when the ball is between the hands. It was.
But do we mean between the hands? Well, both hands on the ball, or it's located
between the hands, or between the hand and any surface, or by touching it with any part of the hands or arms, except if the ball rebounds from the goalkeeper or the goalkeeper has made a save.
It doesn't count as a rebound because he never had control of the ball.
I don't know. I mean, I've stated this all the time that the laws of football are badly drafted. And so this one, he's touching it by any part of the hands or arms. I mean, he is. It's touching one hand. It's just not touching the other one. So I don't know. It may actually be. You look at it and you're saying, well, obviously he's not got it in control because I understand what the word control means and I can see what the picture shows me. So I know that it's not in control. But the way this badly drafted law defines what control is, it's at best unclear as to whether he had it in control. So I'm not trying to say that never a goal. Like in my understanding, my personal interpretation of how football should work, of course it's a goal. But in my interpretation of what this law says, I think there's a grey area where you could say, actually, according to this, that's not a goal.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the many refs turned pundits comment on this yet, so maybe we'll get a clarification.
I know,
at
sitting
some
there
point.
going, where's my Dean? I'm dying for little Mikey Dean.
I don't want to see little Mikey Dean. That'd be unpleasant, wouldn't it?
And Peter Walton. The charismatic Peter Walton.
Anyway, Eriksen scores. Fine. Shortly after that, it was a real killer. But Villa looked like they were losing their heads at that point. Which I totally understand. If it's the other way around and we were chasing the Champions League, I'd be feeling right now that we'd been robbed of a place in the Champions League because of the referee.
So I would not be feeling that because I'd be saying there's 38 games in the season and you left it to the last one and you turned up and played like wankers.
Well, there's that too.
Unlucky lads. Yeah. That's what I'd be saying.
That is reasonable analysis.
Like you played a team that had lost what, 8 out of 9, is it? 9 out of 10, something like that?
Yeah, we lost a lot.
You turned up, they just lost the cup finals, so they've schlepped back from abroad, having been humiliated by fucking Tottenham. Epochal stain on the name Manchester United.
Well, yeah.
And you allowed them
shame, yeah.
And you allowed them to boss you. Fuck off, is what I'd be saying if I was a bit of a fan.
I'm not sure they'll be that sanguine about it, but yeah. Bruno goes forward, chips the ball in, Ahmad scores, we win the game. Hooray. Yeah.
That was exactly the kind of run that the wing-backs we have been deploying do not make.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that is a very solid argument right there for Ahmad scored a hat-trick from wing-back earlier this season, so he can certainly cause damage there. It's the other way that's the concern, but yeah. All right.
As I said, I assume that the plan will be for him to be mainly a wing-back next season.
If we're not buying one, we need to. I do not want to see Matt.
It's not just whether we're buying one or not. It's that we're going to have Cunha and Bruno. Let's assume Bruno stays and Cunha comes, which feels like that's the likely situation. We might even sign another 10 as well.
Yeah.
Amad's a big. Ahmad can play small spaces and big spaces, but it does feel like he's better at finding space out on the wing.
Yeah. Well, look, if you think about the attackers who are leaving, however it happens, Rashford, Anthony and Sancho are all leaving, and so is Garnacho now. So that's 4 attackers leaving. Cunha coming in. Okay, that's 1. Maybe Delap, we'll see whether he wants to join this project. And that leaves at least another 2 you've got to bring in. Otherwise, you're just short. You're just way, way, way too short. I mean, Ahmad, we've already seen there's a lot of injuries. Bruno's been playing more than half of his time at 8 this season. We've got Højlund, he can't score goals. Like, there's got to be other options that will happen.
I presume that Bruno is not going to play much in one of the 8s. Next season.
I hope so, because you want him as close to goal as possible, right? So,
yeah, and the reason he's doing it really is not because you think he's better there. It's because you think that you couldn't get the ball to him if someone else was there, and they must buy a midfield player, maybe 2, in order to be able to get Bruno the ball. And also, they hopefully will have defenders that are better at that. I thought Heaven played well again today. Everything that we've seen of him, he looks like a player. And if suddenly your back three is Yoro, Martinez, Heaven, and with the caveat that we don't really know how Martinez is going to come back, but even if you've got De Ligt or Maguire in the middle and you've got Yoro and Heaven on the outsides, often in this system, it's just the wide centre-backs who are the free men. And if you've got two lads that are big and fast, good on the ball, can pass, then the way you're able to play will be different.
Yeah, and we've seen that in recent weeks with Yoro, just how confident he is coming out with the ball. Clearly an instruction, but also a measure of his sort of progress. Yeah. All right. Can we talk a little bit about Alejandro Garnacho and his public firing? And which, I mean, in some sense, to me, it feels a little bit performative doing it in front of the rest of the staff. And I do wonder whether the benchmark for getting fired is having a chat to a journalist in the mix zone, but clearly, and a power play and maybe an effective one since Garnacho's team has been looking for an exit for the past 2 windows anyway, right? So maybe it suits everyone, but yeah, a little odd how it's gone down.
I think so, but it felt, I mean, the manager doesn't want that kind of player, and we knew that if we went out, if we couldn't make the Champions League, then the chances are that he was going to have to go. Because we need to sell at least one player that we get decent wedge for, and he looked like the most expendable. I wouldn't sell him if we didn't have to. I think he's a good sub, can be good sometimes. I won't be crying to leave him to lose him because he doesn't really he doesn't cross, doesn't really beat men, and it's not easy to see how he's going to add that to his game, even if the decision making improves. And if we can't take the money we get for Garnacho and buy someone better, then that's because we got dunces trying to buy the better players. It's not because Garnacho is so brilliant; he's irreplaceable.
No, he's most definitely not irreplaceable. I mean, I think the question with him is not his quality right now, but where does it go? And like, if he adds more goal scoring, he's already at 11 assists and 10 goals this season. That is very, very good for a 20-year-old. I know people are not. They don't like that argument, but it is very, very good. There's only Lamine Yamal and Desiree Doué have actually beaten that for the players under 21 in the top 5 leagues this season. But it is just promise, right? Because he does more things wrong than he does right. He is one of the few players in this team, at least, now I hope it's not true next season, that is entertaining to watch, even if he is also as much frustrating. But the question is for United, like as it has been for the last decade, when you ship a player out that you don't want anymore, can you replace them with someone better? Right? Because 9 out of 10 signings we've made over the last decade are worse than the player we had before. And even we've got worse. Backwards as they're even worse, right? And so, like, if Cunha is the replacement for Garnacho, his stats are a bit better. They're not miles better, but they're a bit better. So you do expect improvement. He's also more mature because he's older, and hopefully we won't get the nonsense that goes along with it. Although there has been some nonsense on the pitch and in social media with Cunha, so he might want to pipe that down a little bit with the new manager. It's also, you got to replace Rashford, Sancho, and Anthony in order to have the options up front and the different types of options. And do we trust this club to do it? I don't. But maybe Val Wilcox and Barada are better than the chaps that came before.
Without Europe, though, we can run a smaller squad.
Yeah,
because
much smaller. Yeah, but might only have 40 games this season.
And that's one of the things that, like, on reflection, I think that's the thing that's pissing me off the most about losing to Tottenham. Incidentally, we were first with that news. We told you a long time before anyone that United would end up losing that final to Tottenham. We're not really news hounds, but I feel like we deserve credit for that one.
Nostradamus levels of prediction. Yeah. That is the totally amped up, worrying face of Manchester United fandom there. It's like, what is the worst possible scenario that could happen? We get to the final, lose this fucking Tottenham.
And then as the draw sort of unfolds and you see the teams getting knocked out and then they're on separate sides from the last 16 or whatever it was, it's like, oh, fuck.
I know.
But the thing that's really pissing me off is the lack of European football, because I think the ability to be thinking and talking about football is something that I feel my weeks need.
Yeah.
Like, my ADHD requires the distraction of constant United and not having it. And I never really thought about it, I don't suppose, until the first Van Gaal season where we're not in Europe and then because of Moyes, and then we get walloped 4-0 by MK Dons, and all of a sudden it's like knee fucking football.
Yeah,
it's just like, what is this? This is not, and it's not even, and obviously it's some of the worst football there is. The group stages of the Europa, but it is the league. I guess it's a league now, but it is something that in midweek when every other fucker is like, and half the leagues playing European football now.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of blank weeks, and especially around the New Year period. I mean, there'll be an FA Cup game in there, but we'll also get an extra blank week as they do. I look for a mid-season tour of some kind where they try and make some money. I wouldn't be surprised. There's going to be a lot of gaps. A lot of us do, who spend a lot of time talking on the internet about football are going to have not much to do next season. What are we going to talk about, Dan? We're not going to have our usual moaning twice a week.
Well, that's true. Produce some parenting, maybe.
Oh God, please. No, I have a full-time nanny. It's called YouTube. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I don't do that much. But it's going to be very bare next season. I mean, could only be 40 games. Like we losing those cup games. Yeah.
I know. We've been pining for the days of two-leg second rounds in the Rumbelows.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There was a banner that I saw in Bilbao that said, "We don't need drugs. MUFC is our high." And number one,
this season, yeah.
Like the first thing to say is it went missing at half time, and I kind of I'm obviously hoping that someone took exception to that. Like, what are you talking about? Then I thought, because I was also thinking, but if MUFC is your high, then what are you doing this season? I mean, and also, what happens if we're acknowledging, and I don't mean to do exegesis on this banner, drugs and drugs, if we're accepting that MUFC is our high, right? A high is a good thing. You want that. And by saying that drugs are not our high, you're sort of also accepting that drugs are a high. So if a high is a good thing, and MUFC is one, what happens if you have the drugs as well? Surely you have high squared. And is this not something one should want? And this is not my logic, of course. This is the logic of the banner itself. It felt very confused to me.
Did you see there was that tweet from the Palace fan after the cup final that said, "Fantastic day all round, and thanks to the Palace fan who offered my dad a bump. He was very confused about the offer." It's like, great. Perfect. Yeah, there's not been a lot of hype.
Right, but what his dad said was, "No, Crystal Palace is my high."
Yeah, that's right.
And the guy said, "Right, but his
little helper." Oh, dearie me. All right, the other players that were confirmed to be leaving, not a surprise, were Johnny Evans, Christian Eriksen, who took the penalty, and Victor Lindelof. After 280 odd games of mediocrity.
I wish he'd been mediocre. I wish it was a mediocrity. The problem with Lindelof was not. It was that there was a lot of mediocrity, but it was the errors when they were not required.
Yeah,
and usually when players been around for that long, you'd be like, you'd have some good victory. They'd all have some moments. He had that goal. Was it against fucking Burnley? Where they win 1-0?
Is that his best moment?
There was a late goal. I think it was Burnley. 1-0. But not lots.
I can't think of a high, really, with him. 8 seasons, 280-something games. Christian Eriksen, I mean, he was very good in his first season in central midfield under Ten Hag, and then bit part player after that. He's paid a lot of money to be a bit part player. No surprise he's leaving. Nice, they gave him a patronising send-off today. I guess he didn't want it. He didn't want it, did he? But put it straight down the middle. It would have been kind of embarrassing that it got saved when he just went straight down the middle with it.
But he lifted it so that he couldn't hit the legs.
Yeah, sensible enough. Yeah, no surprise he's leaving. And then Tom Heaton, not being confirmed whether he's staying or going. I guess it's either a training role or a coaching role. I'm sure it'll be on a reduced contract. He's paid £2 million a year to do nothing. Nice work if you can get it. Yeah, it's just amazing.
Just for being a good bloke.
Johnny Evans. When we brought him in on a free from relegated Leicester City, I don't expect we thought he'd be staying this long, but a nice second send-off. I assume he's going to retire rather than carry on playing, or maybe he won't. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think he's going to retire.
Yeah. So there's a lot of headroom. Like, so if you assume they're going to try and do a deal for Marcus Sancho, Sancho could end up being like cutting him loose on a free or something like that. I mean, they're going to really struggle to find a club for him. Assuming we take the 5 million from Chelsea, which will be confirmed after Wednesday's game. We need 32.5 million for Anthony. That's the floor in order to meet our PSR costs. Someone will pay that for him, surely. Or close to it. Close to it.
Yeah,
he's done well enough. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think so. And I mean, he did anything else say on Insta or something, so it wasn't me then when we lose to Tottenham.
Is that what he said?
Something like that. And you're like, well, fucking sort of was you.
Like,
not in that particular game, but you have played a lot of games without being good. And you've now gone to play in a shitter team in a less physically demanding league.
Yeah.
And you're doing better because Betis is your level, mate.
Exactly. I don't think they could afford him. They'd be looking for another loan, but we can't do that. You just can't throw away £50 million worth of PSR overhead next season. Like, a loan does United absolutely no good at all. So sell him to whoever, pony up some money. And then who else might be going? Do you think Onana wasn't in the squad today? Neither was Luke Shaw. There's some question mark about whether Shaw had an injury, although reports in the Independent, was it, that said they've said he can go.
Well, he had one of the great mares in Bilbao, Luke Shaw.
He really did. He looked pretty rusty. Yeah. Yeah. And they pushed him forward in the second half. They went to basically 2 at the back and pushed him forward. He still didn't manage to contribute much. But, I mean, that will be, if it's not a freebie, it's close to a freebie because he's on quite a big packet. And obviously, you can't trust him to be fit. It'll be a shame when he goes because he's had some really great moments for United. Sure.
He's had one good season, really, that Ole season. He's had one good season and been injured a lot of the time we've needed him.
Yeah.
It's not entirely his fault, and that injury probably made the essential difference in his career. And that you come back, but you're not the same physically, and maybe not mentally either, but you're just not able to keep playing games because the injury was so bad.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, if they're letting him go, the question mark will be, I mean, are they going to bring in another left-sided player? Are we comfortable with the fact that we're covered at left centre-back with Aiden Heaven now? We think he's good. And Leacher when he comes back. And then wing-back, we've got Dorgu, who's definitely not the perfect player. He's quite raw. But he's 20, Diego Leon coming in, and Harry Amas. Are we covered there? Do we feel...
I wouldn't necessarily say we were covered because we don't really... Those 3 players you've named, Diego Leon, Dorgu and Amas, we don't really know how good any of them are.
Yeah.
But between them, I guess the hope is that they'll find something because it doesn't feel like we've got money for that position at this point.
I think that's about right. And then not confirmed whether Casemiro is staying or going. I mean, if he gets a big offer...
Because an offer of any kind, they get rid of.
Offer of any kind, yeah. There's about 10 million on his PSR cost, which would need to be covered, which is a hard one to get a fee for if it's not Saudi. But anywhere close to that. I mean, you net all these out, so United will make a profit on... Who's the other guy? Malacia. Like, when he goes to... Assuming they take up their option, United will make a profit there. That would cover some of loss on Casemiro. He's on such big wages that you can also take that off the overall squad cost as well. And then I guess the other big one is Bruno stay or go, given that it seems like that 100 million offer from Al Hilal for United and 200 million for Bruno is very much live. You'd have to replace so many goals, assists and chance creation. I mean, the 200 chances created, I don't know how you replace that. There's no player in Europe you could place him with.
I love Bruno, and I want to keep him, but I totally would. It's impossible not to think about it. Someone who's coming past their peak, the money's insane, and is going to need replacing at some point. So this is sort of the high watermark of his value for you to be able to go and say, well, we'll sell Bruno, and we'll be able to go and buy literally whoever we want to replace him. I can't say that is not compelling in some way. But at the same time,
But can you replace
one of the only good things about this team, taking it away when you're trying to get better, feels mental.
It does. I mean, it's the club captain, and he's the player. And if you wanna model good behaviour, professionalism, and work rate, Bruno's your man, right?
Yes, and you can see the way the other players react to him as well. I think my main fear about this rebuild is that we've sort of buy systems players and we don't understand what quality is necessary. And it's one of the reasons I'm pleased that Amorim didn't come in the summer and had this run up. Now there's there's no excuses. It's not about whether he's got an excuse for it or not. It's that he should know. It's about acquiring the information. He should know what the standard of the league is technically and physically. And so it's not just enough to buy a player who fits the system at this point, because we need a player who fits the system, but we also need players of requisite standard. And if you look at that's Liverpool, let's say, they won the league easily in the end, and they try and sign, and looks like they are going to sign Wirtz, Kerkez, and fucking Frimpong.
Yeah.
And those are players that are better than what they've, at least in some aspects, better than what they've got in those positions now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the standard. I mean, actually, Frimpong is someone who would be more suited to what United want, because he's really a wing. He's an explosive wing back. He's explosive going forward, can't really defend, which makes him a good, or I guess in some ways a sensible replacement for Alexander Arnold. But he's someone who could play that right wing back role for United, actually.
Yeah, Florian Wirtz is one of the few that you would say would replace the chances created, goals, assists, and all of that kind of stuff. He will be 100 million euros plus, right? Wherever he goes, whether he's going to Liverpool or Bayern, depends on. Most young German players end up at Bayern. If he's taking a different route, fine. Shame he ends up at Liverpool. But I don't know how United replace Bruno even in the aggregate. So if you took that 100 million, split it between three promising young players.
That's like what Spurs did with the Bale money, right?
Yeah, and it could go terribly wrong.
And it's a disaster.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to try and get Mastantuono as someone who everyone thinks is a proper blue chip generational talent. You'd have to try and get someone. I mean, you sort of want to try and get that player anyway if you've got the opportunity to. But also, what you do if you were to replace Bruno, and I should say this, I don't think he's going to leave. But if you were going to replace Bruno, then if Cunha is your centre forward, he's not exactly someone you think is going to score 30 goals either. So if you were getting a 30 goal a season striker, then it would make more. It would be easier to replace him. So let's say you get rid of Bruno, and with the money, you're then able to buy Gyökeres, because Arsenal are going for Šeško, and there's not hardly anyone else that can afford what Gyökeres is going to cost. Then if you get him, he's a goal scorer. So that enables you to have a little bit more prompting behind, in theory, rather than someone who's going to be your top goal scorer like Bruno is.
He is the top goal scorer with 8 goals. Yeah, I mean, I do not like the idea of taking all those chances out of the team and then replacing it just for the goal scorer. You still got to create. Cunha is not playing up front for United. I mean, like if we spend 70 million quid, which is
he's a depth option. He's a depth option at centre forward. That's worth having in case you need someone, or someone goes off, or just you want a different kind of option in the game. But he's coming to play. He plays left 10 in the 3-4-1, in the 3-4-2-1. He's going to come and do that at United.
Yeah, very good. All right. What are you going to do over the summer? Are you tuning in for United? But are we going to do a preview of United versus the ASEAN All-Stars in KL on Wednesday night?
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. Oh, but some of them aren't going. Onana, I think Dallo, and someone else are going to. Maguire are going to India for some promotional situations. I'm not sure how you promote United with them three.
Well, I mean, Andre not signing up for the IPL, no.
So I don't know, but you can look at it for next season and say it is still possible to see how you could make a good team out of these by maybe getting rid of everyone.
11 deals, yeah.
I think Cunha would improve it, that he is, and he's got a good level of attitude, but I feel like he's more. United's biggest problem, I think, in some ways, is getting through low blocks, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do that.
He is the kind of explosive. I mean, he scores bangers, which is why he's outperforming his XG by 8 goals or something like that. Yeah. So look for a regression to the mean if you're a statistician. But
it's been a couple of years now, so
I'm
it
still
could just
doing
be
that.
that he
That's
is
him.
good at. He is good at that.
Yeah. Yeah. The fee, the 62.5 million fee, I'm going to suspect when it comes out, it'll be about 10% more than that because United are going to try and stage the payments and they'll have to pay more like they did with Josh Zirkzee. It feels really high for the number of goals and assists you're buying, like 70 million quid. Fuck ton. He really better work out for that much.
Yeah. I agree that. I mean, I like the player. And any transfer that works is worth whatever money you're lucky enough to pay for it. But it is a lot of money to give to a player from Wolves when there doesn't seem to be a lot of bidding competition. Yeah, it does feel like a lot. And for someone who's good, but probably not a world beater. I think one of the keys to the summer, and I mentioned it with Ahmad, but it's the same with Mainu as well, where you kind of got these guys that almost need to retrain. And this is for the manager to do. Like, he needs to say to Mainu, stick with me and I'll make you into a first team player and you'll be the 8, basically. Like, there'll be a 6 and 8 and you're going to be the 8. You have to work your fucking tits off to get fast enough and strong enough, like, and explosive enough, but do that. And he's not a player that you really want shuttling about, but he needs to be turned into that, I think.
There was sorry. My mum, I forgot to put my do not disturb on.
Your mum.
Yeah, the report by Wheeler in Mail this week that said they're going to spend the summer working on his strength and athleticism in order to fit into the system. So, I mean, it's an open question for Kobbie Mainoo as well. If Garnacho's going, the pressure's off to sell another player, basically. And so the club, I would suspect, is unlikely to sell both. But that new contract is not signed. If I was Kobbie Mainoo, I'd be looking at this going, well, crucial development years. Do I want to spend the next 2 or 3 years maybe not fitting into this guy's system? I mean, he's got time. He can give it another year, basically. Doesn't have to sign that new contract now. Could give it another year and go, okay, let's find out if I'm going to play games. I mean, it would be a massive red flag for me if a coach cannot find a way to get a player of his undoubted talents into the team somehow, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just has to be, you have to start next season. Like, there can't be any fucking around. It has to be, you have to start next season with a team and players in it that you think can develop over the next couple of years to get to be really good. You can't have workarounds anymore. You can't start, like, Dalot can't be a starter. He's not good enough.
Yeah.
Maguire and De Ligt can't really, like, they're players you can rely on in some way, sometimes, maybe, but they're not. United aren't going forward with these guys. And you must get a goalkeeper. You must get someone who can put the ball in the net, and you have to have and you have to start with these players. Like, they can't be Luke Shaw at left wing back next season or whatever. It has to be Diego Leon or Dorgu. That has to be these guys that you're trying to go forward with who are young, and you try and build a team that can improve together and that can grow together to do something proper. There can't be any fucking around with players, kind of stop gaps that aren't good enough or the right kind of player who you're just putting in. Like, it might, even if it's early for some of the younger ones, I'm afraid it doesn't matter. This is their chance. This is how it's coming, and you just have to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, next season, in a sense, is a chance for that. I mean, so few games. You're going to work with a smaller squad, or the size of the squad is kept larger by integrating a lot of younger players into it. Amorim has that track record. I mean, he's got to deliver on it, because he's going to start next season with 0 credit in the bank. I mean, none, right? 7 wins in 27 Premier League games for him.
He's on a winning streak now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Winning streak of 1. Yeah, no back-to-back wins in the league, at least, all
Where
season.
Did we finish in the end?
15th, because Spurs
and West Ham.
Wolves, above Wolves. Yeah. So Cunha is getting an upgrade of 1 place. Yeah, very good. But yeah, he'll have 0 credit. He cannot start next season with 5 losses in the first 10 games. He just can't. The pressure will be overwhelming. And which is why, like, United are very much at risk of repeating sins of the past by doubling down on a manager who has failed. And there's no other choice.
They don't have option. I mean, would you fire Amorim now?
No, I wouldn't.
Because I wouldn't either. We need to see.
Yeah, so I'll eat that humble pie if he does fail, because I'm clearly saying it doesn't make any sense to fire him, other than you'd say, well, the performance has been so horrific that we don't believe in this guy. Clearly, they are not saying that. They're saying they do believe in this guy. That he has a plan. He might not be articulating the plan, as I said at the top of the show, publicly what they're going to do, but we're going to see it in terms of the players they sign and what the squad looks like when they fly out for the American tour in late July, right? And I hope they've done most of the business then, because if they've got a short window now to do some deals, then there's the Club World Cup when the transfer window shuts down, then it opens again. I do not want to be seeing deals done on the 2nd of September, right?
No. They have to learn the system, and that's gonna. And if that means selling a few dickheads for a bit less, then that's what it's going to have to be, because they do need to get this. They do need to get the players in at the first available opportunity, and also it just removes excuses from the manager. Not that he's looking to make excuses. Just if we are forced to fire him at some point, then you want to be able to know that you've given him all the tools that he asked for. I mean, he's already got so many tools, but you've given him all the tools that he asked for, and he wasn't able to make it happen. But this feels also like the first time post Fergie that there's a real will to do the necessary work. We don't know if there's a capability to get the sales done or to pick the right players, that there's a will to get in and out as many as possible and give the manager the best chance of success.
And there has to be. You finish 15th in the league. There can't be any other response other than, well, there needs to be some kind of culpability here, right? Someone needs to pay for this. There needs to be admission on behalf of the whole organisation that things have gone wrong, and you make the change. You can't go into next season hoping it's suddenly going to get better, because it's not, right? So, but there is, naturally, we've got the 3 players definitely leaving who are part of the senior squad. We'll see with Heaton, and then we know that Rashford, Sancho and Anthony will not be at the club next season. That's 7, right? And we suspect that Shaw, Onana and Garnacho are definitely going as well. That's 10.
Bayern is one of those ones that's like, why would anyone buy this guy? Like, I mean, if you were given him, you'd say no thanks.
It'll be super cheap. He would find a club for sure. I mean, we only paid €5 million for him, so someone will pay that, or the 3 million that will cover to cost the PSR. Yeah, we've obviously got to buy a second keeper. I don't know whether they think Eli Harrison is ready to step up to be second keeper, but we'll see. So, but that is 10 first team squad players going. Almost certainly. That's a hell of a lot of deals to go replace them. Some, I guess, have been replaced already with younger players now integrating, but it's a lot. It's a lot. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's not good.
All right, there you go. That's a summary of the season. It's not good.
Who wants to transport you on?
Go on, tell us what happened.
The first thing that happened, I get on the plane to go to Bilbao, and this guy next to me goes, so I've just written this piece about Amorim, and I'm putting it on my Blue Sky. It's gone live as we're on the plane, like before we take off. So I put it on the thing. This guy goes next to me, goes, are you a writer? Sorry, I didn't mean to pry, but I just saw you tweeting that piece. It's like, what? You're telling me that you were looking over my shoulder, and now you're using the fact that you were doing that to start a conversation. He goes, where are you from? I said, North London, trying to keep it nice and general. Whereabouts? I said, Finchley, trying to keep it more general. Whereabouts? In Finchley. What? So I say, Finchley Central, fuck off. He had a kid called Axel, it turned out. And I think actually what was happening, and then he goes on from Mill Hill, I think he was trying to Judah me, actually. But it was weird because all you had to do was say, hi, you going to the game? And we could have got to that place.
Yeah.
Without me thinking, you're wearing a vest top to a football match. And anyway,
giving you a 3rd degree on the plane. I never like talking to people on planes. So
at the end, we half the plane's obviously going to the game. We're in floated Bordeaux, so we know there's going to be a queue for the car hire place. So we get there as quickly as we can. There's obviously a queue. We're next eventually, and then this woman stomps in, slams her keys down on the counter in front of me, in front of the person who's working there, and says, "You've given me a car. It's got bugs. It's rusty. It's dirty. It's disgusting. I want another one." The woman says, "Okay." So I said, "Look, I don't want to be annoying, and I'm sorry this happened to you, but there's a queue, and we're next, and so you're going to need to wait. No, it's not fair. I've been given a car. I've had my car already. I was like, well, yeah, that's kind of my point. Like, you don't get to cycle through all the cars that they have until you find one that you like, while everyone else just hangs around. So while, again, I'm sorry it's not what you wanted, but there's a queue. No, it's not right. I want my new car now, blah, blah, blah. So I said, listen, there's a queue. It's a very sad story, and I'm very sad for you, but there's a queue, and you're at the back of it. Then it feels like we've reached that point where it's been decided that, yeah, she is in fact going away. So I think, okay, in triumph, I go to pick my driving license out of my bag, which is at my feet. Boom! Head back the counter. I've not measured my distances properly.
Oh, dear.
And it's a fucking thump. It's so loud, and everyone's seen it, having witnessed this little conflab. And I'm just like, oh, that was funny. I've cut myself. I've got a lump on my head. Isn't that great? Oh, that's exactly what I came for. Brilliant. The other thing that happened to me that was funny.
Did she have a good chuckle?
It was weird. So I was looking at her because I'm not sure how I would have handled that if I'd have been her. But she didn't really seem to care. The other funny thing that happened to me was I went for a piss when we get in the ground and opened the door to the toilet expecting a regular football toilet where, like urinals, trough urinals or whatever. And what I see is instead just one Kazi, like a normal toilet, and someone's pissing in that, and one sink. And that's it. And obviously someone's pissing in the sink as well. So it's kind of quite a funny scene. And then someone turns around to me and says, "You Daniel Harris, can I have a selfie?" And a great friend of the show. Sorry, I didn't get your name. And the funny thing about this is I go to the toilet again, take an emergency piss just before the game starts. And there's a guy pissing in the toilet, dick in hands, turns around to me and says, "Oh, were you Daniel Harris?" And both of these guys, funny you say it, he goes, "I won't shake your hand." But what I would say is I didn't get either of your names, but on behalf of Ed, me and all the other lads, Dom, Thomas, Wayne, and I can't speak on behalf of any of these people, but I'm sure I do speak on behalf of everyone when I say we absolutely love the support. Yeah, that a selfie in that kind of toilet is exactly what dreams are made of, right? we do appreciate so much the support of all of you listening to us, and yeah, thank you very much. Those were two great moments in actually a really great day until the football started. So yeah, thank you both for that. Really appreciate it.
Did he measure up to the standards of supporter that we expect? That's what I mean. Honest.
I thought you were saying, did you measure up to me?
Did you get a look? Did you compare?
I did not. I mean, it's one of those situations where it meant that I definitely felt like now you've identified me as like a named individual, I can't piss in the sink even if I was going to. And I guess you're kind of having that conversation like, if the sink comes available before the toilet, am I pissing in the sink?
That would get out onto the internet. I just saw Daniel Harris pissing in the sink.
with video footage.
I did once see who's the guy who played the lead character in Silicon Valley, Thomas Middleditch or whatever he's called, taking a shit in the lounge at Heathrow.
In the lounge?
In the toilet, in the lounge, the Virgin Lounge at Heathrow, right?
Did the door open?
No, he just came out after taking his big shit while I'm taking the piss and just walks out without washing his hands. So there you go. Name and shame filthy behaviour like that.
So you didn't actually see him taking a shit?
I did not.
I feel like you missold that.
He was in there for some... No, I did not personally watch him crimp one off while I was having a look from... Yeah. There's names for that, Daniel.
Yeah, and he did it, Martin Edwards.
Yeah.
And he didn't wash his hands after. I mean, that's one of those things sometimes. Like when I go to the toilet at synagogue, if I just sometimes go into a cubicle to get some tissues, I'll always wash my hands when I come out. Because I think people are like, hang on, you just went for a dump and now you're going to synagogue and you haven't washed your hands. That's not right. But yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back over the summer with some stuff. Transfer speculation. Maybe we'll do a tactics show after this week. I don't know. Do we want to look back on how we lost to Tottenham yet again?
I don't know. The way I try and look at these things, I guess this won't work for people who are significantly younger than us. On which point, I was walking through the streets. I was walking through the streets of Bilbao, and I saw someone and this is a moment to feel really old. The last time I saw this kid, I guess I was about 14 and he was about 9. He was cousins with a good friend of mine. And we went to Harrow Leisure Centre to the water slides. And he starts running around going, "Look at me, the cat's for all my cookies." And now he's got grey hair. That's just like, oh, we are old.
All right. A lot of stories about cocks in this particular show. That's just the players on the pitch.
Yeah.
Daniel, have a wonderful summer. I'm sure we'll all be back to talk about transfers, speculation, pre-season. We'll be doing an hour-long tactical deep dive on United versus Hong Kong 11 next weekend. Or not. Probably not. Are you going to bother watching those games?
Am I going to bother watching those games? I mean, we're on well, aren't we? I mean, I could say I wasn't going to, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't, does it? I mean, we're all quite poorly, so it's not inconceivable that I will, the cold turkey will hurt too much, and I'll suddenly be like, I must watch more dickheads.
We've only got 3 weeks. There's not much 3 days. Sorry, not much cold turkey. By moving up to 15th, United made £6 million today rather than 17th with that win. Nice if you can get it. And we'll make about 9 million out of these 2 games over this next week. So there you go.
So I can't object to these games. That I'd want the players to. I mean, if the players were in my family, I'd want them to fuck off for a bit longer, actually. But no, I mean, you can't. We need to do something. I much prefer it to redundancies. They don't have to put effort in. And ultimately, I mean, I'm not feeling overly sympathetic towards them currently.
No, and they don't have to release players until about a week's time for the summer international. So you just don't want any bloody injuries. I mean, some of these players played near. Mazraoui came off. That's his 57th game this season. Amazing, given his previously poor injury record, that he made that many appearances before getting injured. But you just don't want any.
I mean, the way I look at it, there are only about 3 of them that I really give a fuck if they got injured, actually. Like, I don't want Yoro to get injured. I don't want Heaven to get injured. I don't want Mainu to get injured. And I don't want Bruno to get injured. And Ahmad. But the rest of them, no. I don't want them to get injured. But if they were to, and it meant that they missed pre-season or whatever, I don't want to be relying on any of them.
My new Victor Lindelof always did a very good job of getting injured just as the transfer window came around. So this time out, he will need to stay fit to get himself a new club. All right, everyone, thanks very much. We'll be back this week with some stuff. Daniel.
What a season, guys. Thank you, everyone.
What a season. Bye now.